What's up, guys? Welcome to my review of episode 8 of the Stand 2020 series. Almost done here. As I have been doing so far in the previous reviews, I'm going to be reviewing the episodes the way they are, and then I'm going to be making comparisons to the book, which, P.S., if you've been following along so far, is much better than the show. Especially in like the second half of the show. But we're still going to be talking about it, and I'm still going to be giving my thoughts overall on how each episode plays out. So, episode 8. We continue with Stu having a broken leg in that ditch between the road. And at least he has Kojak to take care of him. And Kojak is a really cool dog. And I'm sure Glenn misses the hell out of Kojak because I think thus far still Glenn has no idea where Kojak went. I think he just thought he ran away or whatever. But Stu has Kojak by his side. He's doing everything he can to survive with the painkillers and all that, which I found really cool. I love the court scene at the beginning of this episode. It follows semi to the book, but it plays off on its own thing as well. And Lloyd is a complete psychopath, and I love Nat Wolff playing that role because he does a really good job, and he really brings Lloyd to life with his mannerisms and with his psychoticness, basically. And I love Glenn, how he just starts mouthing off. And Glenn has balls, you know what I mean? Glenn has like completely lost his fear of death. He knows what's right and wrong, and he is not afraid to tell the enemy right to their face that, they're fucked. And I love how he runs his mouth, and I love how sarcastic he is. And I love how he even talks to Randall through the camera and has no fear of Randall whatsoever, even though we all know Randall is basically a superhuman who is, can like flick you away if he wants to. But Glenn has no fear whatsoever. And it's sad to see him get shot down, but yeah, Lloyd gives him one hell of a shooting with like 10 bullets at a time or something like that. Kind of sad. And it's funny to see how he regrets it so much because Randall did not want him to shoot Glenn down. He wanted to keep Glenn alive for whatever his plan was. But it's funny to see the rat girl. I know there was a rat man in the book, but I completely forget what his story was and all that. But it's a rat girl played by Fiona Dorff in the show, which is cool. She does a good job. And I love her and Lloyd like arguing back and forth on what's going to happen to them. Um, Larry is tied into a kitchen, kept hostage, and Nadine comes in when she's pregnant. She's looking all death-like. Like I said in the previous review, she looks like Sherry Moon Zombie in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, with the white dress and everything. But she comes in, and it's hilarious how Larry is like, Nadine, look at you. Look at you. Look at yourself, honestly. And you think he's like trying to get her to wake up. But then he gets up. He takes like a shiny tray, like a kitchen tray, and he puts it to her face. He's like, look at you. Like literally. I laughed because it's like, wow, I think we get the point, Larry. I think she's seen herself enough in the mirror to know exactly what she looks like. But it's just so funny how he's like, look at you. And then he's literally takes a dish and he's like, look at you. Literally, look in the face. It's funny. I laughed at that. It's not a birth scene, but when Nadine realizes that whatever is growing inside her is not 100% human and more than likely is going to kill her, that scene was really dramatic and played out really well. And I love her jumping out the window where she grabs the necklace and just breaks the window and falls to her death. And then they bring her head to Larry in like a serving dish, like with a rolly tray and everything. Pretty fucked up, but definitely played with the theme of the show and was like good practical effects, I would say. It could have been CGI, I'm not 100% sure, but it looked like practical effects and it was a pretty gross looking half head. So just the idea of doing that to them was a little bit fucked, to say the least. Trying to see some of these notes. I like forget what I meant. Lloyd and Rat Girl argument. Yeah, I mentioned that. There's something that happens in the book that they changed around a little bit, but in the show, it's actually a little bit more impactful, I would say. In the show, they put Lloyd and Ray, which I should mention, it wasn't Ray in the book. This is why I was watching the show and getting so confused on this female character named Ray that was with Lloyd, and I'm like, it was somebody else, but I kept forgetting who the hell it was. It was this guy named Ralph with a hat that had a feather on it in the book, and that's why I was like, I swear there was someone else, but it's not Ray, and it wasn't a woman, it was a guy. I just totally had forgotten. But then I went to skim through the book and I remembered, oh yeah, it's Ralph. That was it. But they changed the character with this woman named Ray, and they put them both in the pool at Caesar's Palace, and they fill the pool slowly with water, so you know they're going to drown. And it's really, really, really disturbing because I already have a fear of drowning. And there's a lot of tension in that scene. And then, of course, here comes Trash Can Man, played by the infamous Ezra Miller, and he's bringing in the nuke, and he's completely off his rocker as he is in the book, and is even more off his rocker in the show. And he brings in the nuke, and then you have this whole like supernatural fireball display where Randall is like going all Dragon Ball Z and like creating this energy orb of like light and fire over top the pool, and there's fire going everywhere. I love when the fire hits Julie Lowry and like disintegrates her basically, and this big like pillar or whatever it is comes swinging down and just takes Lloyd right out, and I think like knocks his head right out. You can tell the gore is CGI in those scenes, but they're still like cringy and they're still violent, and I like the everything they did with the violence in that scene was really, really epic. And then you have this really random music choice where they play this Eurodance track, but it's like a really fast BPM Eurodance track, and you have Randall Flagg just like dancing like really, really fucking stupid, and he does this whole like cringy ass dance that is so out of his character and so out of place compared to who he was and who he built himself to be throughout the show. And it was just so funny to see. And then Julie Lowry starts dancing with it too, and it just leads into this. It's such a weird song choice to lead into this like explosive finale. Which, by the way, the nuclear bomb explosion was done perfectly. Very good effects. The explosion looked great. The way it went sky high, and the whole like wind and aftermath of the nuke. You know, hitting or reaching, I should say, Stu, where he was still alive, but he has all this like debris and rubble. Excuse me. And then we discover Tom Cullen is still alive, which is good to see because Tom Cullen was always a likable character. And yeah, that whole finale was a really, really great finale for the episode, and a good climax for the show because other than episode 9, we were already at the climax, so I really like that. And then I like how the episode ended with Franny basically going into labor or getting like her water breaks or something like that. She knows she's about to deliver her child, so I like how the show ends like right there, and she's like, oh shit, and then it ends credits until the next episode. So that was cool. My favorite thing about it was the whole climax, like I just finished describing. Now, getting into book comparisons, they didn't do it stylistically like that a whole lot in the book. Obviously, they wanted to put a lot more visuals and like entertaining visuals into the show, which makes sense. And again, they switched the whole Ray being part of the 4 that goes to Vegas instead of Ralph, and it did leave me confused, but then I was reminded about it. Uh, and I remember in the book this whole scenario and situation was taking place outside. It wasn't anything that happened indoors, which like the show did, but it's not that big of a change. I mean, like for them not taking exactly what was on page to screen and switching it up a little bit, but still maintain the heart. They did a really good job with it. Like also in the book, Ralph and Larry were in a cage during this whole scenario, during the explosion and everything. They weren't in a pool and they weren't about to drown. So from my recollection, I mean, I could be mistaken, but from my recollection, they were just in a cage, and there was no water involved. But adding that water just adds that extra tension. So I didn't mind that at all, and I thought that was like a good change and a good way to adapt something from a book to a screen and actually make it better. So I did enjoy that. And Glenn's character in the book versus in this one is pretty much the same with the sarcasm at the end, or before he dies anyway. And that's another change in the book. He basically just gets shot in a jail cell. Same way, like Lloyd shoots the fuck out of him like 20 times, but he's just in a jail cell, whereas this one, it happened in front of the entire courtroom and in front of the cameras where Randall could see. So, again, that was cool. That's episode 8. It was one of the better episodes that I've seen so far, and really they could have just kept it at 8 episodes and really wrapped everything up, because as I'm going to be getting into the next review, episode 9 is kind of just weird, to say the least, but I'm going to get to that, and yeah, until next time, subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more, obviously. Watch what's on the channel, and subscribe if you're interested, and I will be back with more. So stay tuned until then. Take care and cheers.